Entertainment Soldier here, and I'm back to talk about Star Trek Picard, Season 3, Episode 10, and my thoughts on the final amazing episode. Listen, the episode has problems. It does. But so much good stuff happened. It sticks the landing, I wouldn't say perfectly, but for a Star Trek fan, and especially Next Gen fan, I loved it. It was just epic, and I want to watch it again straight away. I'm just shocked that we got this season. Nothing over the top bad happened. Was there mistakes along the way? Maybe with episodes 7 and 8, kind of could sort them out. But overall, this season has been the best Trek we've gotten for 20 years. And I'm just absolutely thankful to Terry and the writers of this season, because it's amazing. This was just amazing to watch. The episode itself, good parts, a little bit of problems with certain things that happened. Raffi's story ending, not really into it. I get why they did it. I get it. But listen, Raffi has massively improved this season. She has. Can they keep it up with where they put her now? I don't know. But I hope they do. But overall, and we got an end credit scene that it felt so good to see that person come back, because he got screwed over in season 2 massively. And to see him back, absolutely amazing. I just want to go into spoilers now. Listen, if you're a Star Trek fan, you're going to love this episode. It sticks the landing. It is a Star Trek episode. It does what we ask. Respect the lore. Respect the fans. Don't take the piss. And don't make too many stupid jokes. And there's nothing wrong with this episode that you can't just say, kind of wish they fixed that, but I can get over it. So for me, it's a 10 out of 10. It's a 10 out of 10, and I'm just happy we got through this season without anything bad happening, without any problems, without any insulting fans. Why can't Paramount just keep giving us this sort of Star Trek? How is it so fucking difficult to do that? We have got to get Paramount to keep Terry. He is the future of Star Trek. Okay, it's not fucking Kurtzman. It is Terry. This guy has given the fans what we asked for. We just wanted Star Trek. We didn't want a political angle to anything. We just wanted to enjoy a show. And that's what we got. So it's a 10 out of 10. Amazing episode, and I hope we get more of this Star Trek. So let's go to spoilers now. If you do not want to hear spoilers, leave in 3, 2, 1. So the episode starts off with a new title thing. You know that bit when the ship flies around? We get the Enterprise D flying around with a little bit of a Borg tinge at the end of it. And then we go straight to the story with the President of the Federation calling out for help and to warn people to stay away from Earth. And the voice is Chekhov. It is Chekhov who's the voice actor in this. No, well, it's not the original Chekhov. It's Chekhov's descendant who is president. I enjoyed this. I'm glad that we got a little bit of love towards the original series. I really wish we saw fucking William Shatner, though, I really do wish they somehow brought him back. That would have been the biggest icing on the cake for this series if they had just brought back William Shatner. I don't care how they would have done it. It just would have been great. But maybe we'll get that in the future. Hopefully. So the president's pretty much asking for help and warning people to stay away from Earth because Earth is under attack. And the reason from last episode, because I think I did mention this, the fact we didn't see the space station get destroyed straight away, turns out the station over Earth, Orbital 1, is fighting off the entire Federation fleet on its own. And is struggling now to, well, keep its shields up because the fleet is just too powerful for it. So Picard and the crew have to decide, well, they have to make a plan. Do they go back to Earth or do they try to figure out a way to stop the signal to the fleet so that they can take back control of the Federation fleet? Now, I do have a problem. I kind of wish... Listen, I get they found the signal and they found out where the Borg Queen is. Okay, I get it. Why didn't they ask for some assistance from the Klingons, from what's left of the Romulans, from, I don't know, even the Cardassians must still be around. Why didn't they ask for any help from anybody else? That kind of should have been at least mentioned. Maybe they asked the Klingons for help and the Klingons refused because it's the Borg. But still, with, Worf on the bridge, maybe you can talk to Martok because he's still Chancellor. I don't know. I that is a bit of a problem for me. Because I thought at some point, someone was going to say, let's call in our allies to help us with the Federation fleet. But we never got that. And that's kind of a problem for me. I kind of think with the amount of pressure on the Federation, they should have called for help from a different fleet or a different race. So, yeah. But anyway, they find the signal. They then get to Jupiter, at where they find the Borg Queen's massive Borg cube hiding in the gas giant of Jupiter. And when they head over there, they need to make a plan to, save Jack and to stop the signal from the Borg cube. But at this same point, Worf has to mention, what if Jack is too far gone? What if he's been too corrupted by the Borg to save? But Picard will not hear it. He wants to save his son, but he also wants to save the Federation. And he even says they have to do what is right, and they have to do whatever it takes to save Earth and to save the Federation, even if it does cost Picard his son, which is pretty much hard for him because he's just found his son and he might now have to give him up to save the universe again. So they head towards the Borg. By the way, there are amazing visuals of the Enterprise D in this. I mean, it was just spectacular all the way through with how they just do. It just looks so amazing on screen when it flies about, and it just, I know this is going to piss off a lot of model fans, and they're going to say the models from the old Star Trek series were better than the CGI. I prefer the CGI. You can do a lot more with the CGI Star Trek vessels than you can with the models. I get it. I know they look good, the models, but I just prefer the CGI ones. I know it's kind of wrong to say that because the history of Star Trek, but come on, it does look better. At some point, you could do a lot more with it. But anyway, so the Enterprise approaches the Borg cube, and when Data scans the vessel, it turns out all of its weapon systems have turned off and its shields are down. And Picard pretty much realises he is being allowed onto the Borg cube by the Queen, because I think he pretty much realises who's on that cube as well, as Jack did himself. So the plan is him, Worf and Riker will beam down onto the cube and look for Jack, and also look for the signal beacon so they can get the Enterprise to target it and destroy it, and also try to rescue Jack from the Borg. Beverly understands that she wants to go on the Borg cube to also try to save Jack, but they need to find out where Jack is in the Borg cube. So Data scans the Borg cube, but all the signals pretty much are blending together. So Beverly tells the computer to concentrate on human signs. They find the human signs, and now Beverly has to stay on the Enterprise D so she can steer Picard to his son. So that's why she stays on the Enterprise. Before they leave for the mission, Picard puts Geordi in charge of the Enterprise, and Data also tries to volunteer to go, but they need him to stay on the Enterprise so he can steer the ship, and if anything does go wrong with the away team, he's their best plan B if the worst happens. And also in this episode, you are seeing Data dealing with more of his emotion because he has so much anger and hatred towards the Borg. I mean, he literally says in this episode he wants to rip them apart with how much he hates them. And when when Troy tries to scan the cube with her mind, she starts to hear that there's suffering on there, but it seems to be the people suffering on the Borg cube are enjoying it in a weird way. So she can't find Jack by telepathic abilities. So the away team is then sent to do the rescue mission. Data, Beverly, Troy and Geordi stay on the Enterprise to try to wait for the location of the signal so they can destroy it. And before Picard leaves, he says thank you to them all, and you know, it's been great working for you, basically. So they beam onto the Borg cube. Oh, I forgot to say, we then head back to the Federation fleet where 7 and 9, Raffi and a bunch of crewmen are trying to retake the bridge of the Titan. When they get onto the bridge, they shoot all the crewmen on the ship with different sorts of rifles, different sorts of phaser rifles that have transport ability. So one of the crewmen has somehow hooked a mini transporter onto their rifles, so when they shoot at the Borg, they beam somewhere else. And my problem with this scene is apparently they didn't test this weapon out, and that it could have killed the people on the bridge. Now, some people are going to say, what do you mean they're Borg? Of course you have to try to kill them. Yes, but 2 of them were Geordi's daughters. I kind of wouldn't be in a rush to kind of kill them, because if Geordi finds that out, I mean, fuck me. That's a shit situation. But the transporters work. They transport the the Borg crewmen to the transporter, where they lock them in there. And now 7 has to figure out a way to disconnect the Titan from the fleet computer. Unfortunately, that's a pretty difficult thing. But Raffi and 7 managed to come up with an idea with the cloaking device. If they cloak the ship, that might break the link with the computer, because the computer would then not see them. And so it wouldn't be able to control the computers. So the plan is basically to cloak the ship, disconnect from the computer, and try to stop as many Federation ships as they can by destroying them. But also 7 needs a pilot. Apparently the person she went up there with is a chef, and he's not really sure of himself, but 7 kind of has to remind him, you're a Federation officer and we kind of need you right now because you're a pilot. I know you didn't sign up to be in the action, but you're still Starfleet and you still have a duty to save people. So he agrees and he becomes the pilot of the Titan. So they cloak the ship, they disconnect from the main computer, they then recloak and start firing at the fleet as much as they can, because they are still one ship going up against the entire fleet. And they seem to be doing a bit of damage, but not a significant amount, because the Borg do tend to kind of ignore them at the start. So yeah, little bit of a problem with the kind of cloaking device just disconnecting from the computer. I mean, once you've re-cloaked, shouldn't the computer just take control just like that? So, okay, it's just a little bit of a problem with that. I mean, it might have been explained earlier that the computer needs time to take it over. Oh yeah, they have done that. Okay, well then my criticism doesn't count. But yeah, so that's what Raffi and Seven keep doing. They're going to cloak, re-cloak, and then attack as many Federation ships as they can to try to stop them from destroying the last defense of Earth. Oh, but also I did have a concern with the the transporter technology and how it's not affecting Earth yet, because technically the Federation would still have transporters on Earth that would definitely be affected if the changelings were doing it right. And it turns out, yes, the transporters on Earth were also affected, and the Earth is dealing with the young attacking the old on Earth. So I'm very glad they did point that out. They did point out with the president, because he has to be escorted and sent to a shuttle pod to escape his residence where the young Federation officers are attacking the old. So I was kind of worried that they were going to kind of leave that into question, because it wouldn't make sense that they would only affect the Federation transports on Federation ships and not the entire planet, because that would work a lot better if you wanted to take out the Federation. Now, so that's my little thing. Anyway, back to the cube. Picard, Riker and Worf beam on the ship. They look around. And it turns out this Borg cube is a relic. It is very old, and most of the Borg drones on it are either dead or falling apart. So this looks like that the Borg's last attempt to try to save itself because of what happened in Voyager, where Voyager put the virus into the Borg, which pretty much annihilated the Borg. So I'm glad they did mention that in this episode too, because that was kind of also a concern that they wouldn't mention the Voyager's achievements from their last episode. So that was good. Anyway, Picard then decides that they need to split up. He's going to look for his son, whilst Worf and Riker look for the signal so that the Enterprise can target and destroy it. Before he leaves, he thanks them both for their service. He thanks them for being friends and all that stuff. And Riker and Worf are like, you know, we're also happy that we're here. We're also glad we could have helped you. And when Picard says goodbye to Riker, he says bye. But when he says bye to Worf, Worf doesn't want to say goodbye to him, because Klingons don't like admitting defeat, but they also don't like saying goodbye. And I kind of like that scene between them both. So they split up, and Picard heads off to try to find his son. He finds his son, but he also finds the Borg Queen, and she looks like a disaster. I mean, Jesus, she looked bad in this episode. And it really does make sense, because when Picard tries to talk to her, she mentions the Voyager's virus, and she also mentions how the Borg have been pretty much decimated, and how she survived basically by cannibalizing the Borg drones that were with her, and how she's lost a lot of the collective because of the virus. It killed most of the Borg off. So she's been pretty much surviving on what was left around her, and this is how she then somehow got into contact with the changelings, and the changelings and the Borg decided to work together to take out their biggest enemy, the Federation. When Picard tries to talk to Jack, he's still kind of fucked up and controlled by the collective. He's mouthing off commands like keep firing, firing, firing. So he's all controlled by the Borg now. And Picard is absolutely desperate to free his son from the collective, because he understands what his son is going through and the torture that is. And it's a really powerful scene, because he is desperate to get his son back. and to not have him be a drone of the Borg. Riker and Worf find a computer terminal. They figure out where the location of the signal is. They are then attacked by... Oh no, they then send the signal out to the Enterprise. But before that, the Enterprise has to deal with the Borg's defences. But because the Borg cube is not fully manned, most of its weapons are not activated. So Geordi says we have to knock out what's left of their defences. And as Beverly is in charge of tactical, we get this great scene where she takes full control of the weapons because Geordi didn't fit in the computer targeting system, so it has to be all done manually. So they fly the Enterprise through, and we get this great scene of the phasers and photon torpedoes being fired by Beverly, and it's like a badass moment for her because it was an epic, tactical fight with the Borg cube. And they all kind of look surprised and look at Beverly, and she says, it has been 20 years, a lot's changed. Because she was very good at targeting the torpedoes and phasers. And I like that. So they send so Riker and Worf send the location of the Borg signal to the Enterprise. When they find out where the signal is, it's pretty much inside the Borg cube, where they are definitely not going to be able to get at it with outside of the Borg cube. So Geordi's kind of like, we're kind of fucked right now. How the hell are we going to get through there? Not even his daughter could pilot the ship through that Borg cube with that amount of turning they have to do. And Data pretty much turns around and says, I can do it. And when Geordi kind of challenges him and says, how? Because that's an impossibility that you're going to make it through it, and he just turns around to them and says, it's my gut. My gut is telling me I can do it. Please give me this chance. And you can just see in Data's eyes that he really does believe that he can do this. So Geordi says, let's do it. And then we get this epic scene where Data flies the Enterprise through the Borg cubes, which is an amazing fucking scene. Seeing the Enterprise go and do all the turns and stuff, it was just epic. Whilst this is all going on, Seven and Raffi are still dealing with the Federation fleet, knocking out as many as they can, but it's still not enough. The Borg are also realising that the Titan is becoming a threat, so it is moving ships into position to deal with it. And I also like this because I was getting kind of the feeling that the Borg would just keep letting the Titan get away with attacking them, and the writers would just forget about the fact the Borg could control ships to turn around and fire at them, but they didn't. They said that the Federation ships were turning around to deal with them. They're getting hammered hard. Well, the Titan is getting hammered hard by some of the Federation ships. They are taking a lot of damage. Also, the Borg are managing to break out of the transporter room they got locked into. And nobody's really there to deal with them, so they're pretty much going to try to retake the bridge. I know some people are going to say, why didn't the Borg just pull off like 100 ships to deal with the Titan? It probably will take a lot less time to deal with the Titan, but you got to kind of think about it. They're trying to take out the station. The station is the more important target, and the Titan is still not doing enough damage to the fleet that it will become a problem for the Borg. So there's my defense in that. But they are pulling off ships to deal with the Titan. They're not forgetting about them. They're just not going to mainly focus all their firepower on the Titan yet, when the station is pretty much going to get destroyed soon. So that's my defense of that. So back with Picard. Picard is panicking because he doesn't know what to do. He wants to get his son free of the Borg. The Borg Queen is just taunting him and saying he belongs here. He loves where he is now. He's not alone anymore. And she also wants to create this new evolution for the Borg, because the Borg were completely wiped out. And she wants to create a new Borg with the ability to procreate. Oh my god, that is a problem. Oh, I've just realised that. Didn't the Borg have chambers for babies. Like, they were making babies in Voyager because of that child episode with Seven and the Borg children. So, did they not have that ability before? I don't know. I'm gonna forgive it. I know some people are gonna say you shouldn't forgive that. I'm gonna let that slide. Maybe it's a different. Maybe that was just like creating babies from like test tubes or something. Maybe she wants it to be more evolutionary. I don't know. But yeah, that's what she's gonna do. The new Borg are going to be able to have children now, and they're going to pretty much genocide all other races, so the Borg don't ever have to deal with a threat again like the Federation. And that's what these new Borg are. That's why they're not trying to assimilate the older people. They just want to kill them. Because that was kind of weird. Like, why would they not just assimilate the older people, or put Borg drones with like tubes on them to like assimilate them? But it turns out she doesn't want them. She wants to take over the next generation so that they can take over the future, basically. So Picard starts panicking. He doesn't know what to do. He's just pulling out everything he can from Jack to try to get him to stop, and so he can stop the fleet from attacking the Federation and Earth. But he realizes there's nothing he can do outside. He needs to do the worst thing, the one thing he's never wanted to experience again. He needs to let himself be assimilated by the Borg again. So he pulls out a cable and sticks it right into his neck and assimilates himself into the collective so he can talk to his son. At this same moment, Worf and Riker get attacked by two old Borg drones. Worf manages to fight off a couple of them. Riker gets pretty much whacked into the corner, basically. And the Borg drones have phasers, or what are they called? Disruptors on their arm. Sorry, that's what it's called. Disruptors on their arm. They shoot at Worf. They hit him a couple of times. He's pretty much really hurt by this. And so he gives Riker his sword. And when Riker picks up, he kind of realizes the fucking heavy weapon and says shit. But then Worf tells Riker to pull on the handle, and what comes out of the handle is a mini phaser. And I'm just like, Worf, you cheeky son of a bitch, you put a phaser in your sword. Oh, it makes tactical sense to do that, but that is a bit, well, that's not really honourable, Worf. What if you pull it out if you're defeated? And anyway, I get it. Some people might have a problem with that. I liked it. I thought it shows that Worf, yes, he is an honourable man, but if shit happens, then he's going to use a phaser if he has to. He prefers swords, because he does say that, but you can't ever really, you're going to sometimes need a phaser in certain situations. So Riker uses the phaser, kills the two old Borg drones, and that's the end of that. Back with the Federation fleet, as the Borg on the Titan have escaped the transporter room, they then target the cloaking device on the Titan, destroy it, and as the cloaking device is taken out, the Titan's ability to stay off the computers, from controlling it, or at least stopping the signal from getting to it as it cloaks. As the cloaking device gets destroyed, the computer retakes control of the Titan, and the Borg drones start to try to take over the bridge. And then at the same point, the station is then destroyed, and the last defense of Earth is taken out. And then the Borg start to use the Federation fleet to target all major cities on Earth to kill what's left of the population that isn't Borg, and to wipe out Earth for good. Back with the Enterprise, Data gets through the crazy course that he went through to get to the signal boosting thing, and then when Beverly kind of scans it, or Data scans it, they realise once they destroy the signal, they will have the people on the Borg cube will only have 1 minute to get off the Borg cube before the cube is completely destroyed. So they all kind of look at each other like, we have to do this, but if we do this, we're sacrificing Jack, Picard, Worf, and Riker, and Troy is devastated by this, and so is Beverly, because Beverly doesn't want to lose another son and doesn't want to lose another person from her family, and Troy doesn't want to lose Riker. So they both kind of like, we can't do this, but you have to think about who they have to save, which is, it's either we lose them for or we lose the galaxy. So unfortunately it is an easy choice to make, and they all agree, and they're going to give Picard a little bit of time before they fire the torpedoes at the signal boosting thing. And they tell Riker the situation, and they say he's only going to have 1 minute to save Picard. He says, he's given his life to me, so I can give him 1 minute of my life to try to save him. So Worf and Riker head off to try to save Picard. When they get to Picard, they see that he has assimilated himself into the Borg cube, and then we go to Jack and Picard talking inside the collective, and where Picard is trying to get through to his son to try to get him to disconnect himself from the collective, because that's the only way he can disconnect himself from the collective, is by choice. But Jack seems more comfortable here. He's given these... He feels more secure here. There's more happiness from here. Picard keeps telling him it's all fake. It's all the Borg lying to you. You need to let this go and disconnect yourself from the collective. If you don't do that, a lot of people are going to die. But Jack is just not having it. He's felt alone most of his life, and he doesn't want to feel alone again. I love this scene between Jack and Picard, because Picard is trying to be a father now. He doesn't want to be a captain. He doesn't want to be a Federation officer. He just wants to be Jack's dad. And it's a very powerful and great scene. So Picard, last try at getting Jack to disconnect to the collective is to tell Jack that he has been running most of his life, that he has never felt comfortable around people. He's never wanted to turn down his shields, basically. He's never wanted to get too close to people in the Federation. But now that he found out about Jack, he is the piece of Picard that he's been missing for his entire life. He then grabs his son and hugs him, and you can just see Jack is just so happy that his father is finally, at least to him, finally accepted him as his son, and that his father really loves him. And this gives Jack the strength to break from the collective, and he does. He starts pulling out all of his cables, pulls out Picard's cable, and the Queen is pretty much pissed off because she's now lost her super weapon to take over the Federation and to recreate the Borg. She starts taunting Jack and saying, you'll always be alone, you'll never be a part of anything. And Jack just pretty much tells her to piss off. And then at the same moment, the Enterprise fires its phasers and its torpedoes at the signal boosting thing. It blows up and they run off somewhere. And before the ship explodes, we get this great scene when the Enterprise D flies over the entire crew of Jack, Picard, Riker and Worf and beams them aboard, and they head off and they head out of the Borg cube. The Borg cube is then destroyed. The Borg Queen is then vaporized by the flames, and the Enterprise D escapes the Borg cube's destruction. The signal is then turned off. Everybody from the Federation fleet is then disconnected and then goes back to normal. The Borg on the Titan that are trying to take over the bridge turn back to normal, and Sydney apologizes to Seven and says sorry about what I've done, and Seven just hugs the crew, hugs Sydney, and yeah, they've won the day basically. The Enterprise gets back to Earth. Riker gives their captain's log, but says captain's log year 1 basically. He explains what's happening, which is basically the Federation have won. They've taken back the Federation ship, the Federation fleet. Beverly has figured out a way to take out all of the Borg DNA from the crew, but also at the same moment, she's also figured out a way to find the changeling agents. That's why you see Federation security officers near the transporter. So they did explain how the changelings were found. So that's how they've been found. They've been using the transporters as a way to Borg the young and to find the changelings. Now there is a bit of a problem here for me. What if some of the changelings weren't pretending to be young officers? What if they were trying to be older officers? I kind of think they should have explained that they forced everybody to do this, not just the young. I think it's kind of a bit of a problem for me. But it's a small thing. But they didn't just let the changelings get away and, we'll explain that some other time. They did explain it. I just kind of wish they explained it a bit more. But at this same point, they also say, after finding most of the changelings, they found out the changeling didn't kill any of, or at least most of the people they replaced. They apparently kept them in a prison somewhere. And then we see a great moment. We see Admiral Tuvok. And Tuvok is having a meeting with Seven on the Titan, where he pretty much says, you are in deep trouble because you've pretty much been not keeping to Federation rules, you've been disobeying orders, and you don't see the total line with the Federation. And Seven kind of thinks this is her getting fired from the Federation. She's not really that bothered about, well, she is bothered about it, but she's kind of like, I'm just accepting it, I'm not really going to fight it. Yes, maybe I'm not a good fit for the Federation, maybe I'm too lone wolf, maybe I don't want to keep to all the Federation rules. And then we get this great scene where Tuvok brings over Seven's last, what's it called? Seven's officer review. And we then see Shaw, before they left with the Titan, before they left Space Dock, apparently Shaw had did a officer review on Seven, and he mentions all of Seven's flaws, but he then mentions that Seven is a strong, focused person, and that she should be promoted to the rank of captain. And he calls her Seven, and I thought it was a great scene, and I thought it did show a lot of respect to Shaw. Again, still gutted they killed him off. Fuck! But I think it was a great goodbye from Shaw to Seven. And he says that 7 and 9 should be promoted to captain, and Chekhov denies Seven's resignation and promotes her to the rank of captain. And you could just see Seven become more emotional. She starts crying from it, and it's a great scene between them both. It was great to see Chekhov and Seven together again. Again, if you're a fan of Voyager, that should be one of the best scenes to you, because it was for me as well. And yeah, 7 and 9 is now a captain. We also then find out that Beverly is also an admiral now. She is now in charge of the medical, well, all medical, and is now an admiral of it. And we then see that Troy and Data have been having sessions with each other, because he has to deal with his emotions, and it's kind of very new to him. He's kind of taking the piss now with Troy, because Troy's kind of getting annoyed that his meetings or his sessions seem to go on an hour longer than they should. You can kind of see in the scene that she's kind of now just not bothered. She's looking at holiday destinations, and Data is kind of opening himself up to her, but it's kind of like, yes, Data, we know these emotions are very new, but you kind of need to give Troy a little bit of time off here, because she can't just be your doctor 24/7. I get it, I know, but I thought it was a funny scene. And Data then realises he's kind of gone over the time and says, "Oh, I'm sorry, Doctor." He walks out. Riker's also there. He says, "You feeling better?" And he says, "He's okay." And then when Data's left, Riker just says, "So he is batshit crazy then, isn't he?" And Troy just hits him and says, don't be like that," and all that stuff. And I thought that was a funny scene. And then we go a year later, where the Enterprise D is now at the museum, and Riker, Geordi, and Picard are on the bridge of the Enterprise D, where they say goodbye to her and deactivate the ship's systems. And they kind of reminisce about what their lives could have been without the Enterprise, without their careers on the ship. They kind of would have been different people, but not better people. And I thought it was a great line from Riker. And yeah, it was a really touching scene, saying goodbye to the Enterprise D bridge. And Geordi says that he's going to look after it now, so because she looked after them in the past. And then you kind of see Beverly. Then the next scene is Beverly and Picard taking Jack back to the new space station over Earth. Took me a year to build that. That's pretty impressive. I kind of would have liked to have seen a few things still being built on the station. Kind of would have been a bit better for me. A little bit of a problem, but I can kind of forgive it. They're taking Jack to his first posting. Jack is kind of nervous. Picard mentions what he did on his first posting, how it took him a very long time to even go to his posting because he was just so nervous. So he understands what Jack's going through. Jack kind of worried about where he's going to be posted because it's a pretty important job or ship he's being posted to now. And Picard kind of asks, "Why haven't you told me where you're being posted?" They get into space dock, and then we see he's being posted to the USS Titan, and Picard is just happy with that. He's like, "Oh, well done, you're on the Titan." Kind of seems obvious. And then we get a massive surprise for Picard. Jack tells him that it's been rechristened the USS Enterprise. You can just see the emotion on Picard's face, and it was an amazing scene. I know some people are going to say you should have kept it as a Titan, but I kind of think it did look good seeing the Enterprise name on the Titan. I think it's a better name for the ship. Oh, I completely forgot a scene. Oh, the Raffi Worf scene. I forgot about that. So, after they had won the battle with the Borg, Raffi gets a message from her son telling her she can come back and see them. They want her to meet her granddaughter, and Raffi is just absolutely happy with this. And it turns out somebody leaked to Raffi's family about her actual career, being a spy for the Federation, all her commendations, all her achievements, and the family is massively proud of her. And Worf walks in and says, "Whoever leaked that was a man of honour." And I thought it was a good scene for Raffi. Shows that she's going to do well. She's been accepted back in the family. And I just like the scene a lot. And you see Worf give her a hug to say goodbye, and for her to start a new career. And I'm still not sure about where Raffi ended is a good thing. I get it, but would I have done that? Not really. But then let's go back to Picard and Jack. So they renamed the Titan the Enterprise. They send Jack on his way. Jack gets to the bridge of the Enterprise, where he sits in the captain's chair. But then Seven tells him to get off the chair, and we then see who her number one is, and it's Raffi. Oh, listen, she has improved. She has improved. Would I take the chance of putting her as the number 1 to 7 of 9 in a show? I am not sure. I am not sure. Again, she has massively improved. That is a risk, though. As long as they understand not to take the piss here and turn her into some sort of crazy drug addict again, I'm confident she can do it. It's just, I'm not really on the level there. Okay, I get it, but I don't know. I'm going to have to see where they go with this. I am. No offence to the Raffi actress. She did well in this season. It's just, I still remember the last 2 seasons with Raffi. And that is still something we're going to have to deal with. But anyway, Jack's taking the mick. He's like, what should we do? Should we go deal with some pirates? Or should we go, search and do science stuff? Basically, I can do science stuff. That's what he says. And Seven's like, just sit down. Because now you are my counsellor. You counsel the captain on whatever we do. All 3 of them sit down. And the ship tells them we're prepared to jump to hyperspace. Not hyperspace. We're prepared to go to warp. And then Jack says this is an important moment. Stuff that's going to be written in the history books. So does Raffi say the same thing. And what does Seven say so that they can go to warp? Nothing, because they end the scene there. I think that is the best you could have done. Nothing would have been good. They could have taken the piss here. And they've already kind of done that in the trailer for Strange New World Season 2 with Make It Go Now or whatever the fuck Spark says in that fucking trailer. Oh, God, it's so stupid. But I think there's a better way to do it. We don't know what Seven says, but the ship goes to warp and that's it. And the last scene is all the old crew in the bar, having drinks, talking about, what they're going to do in the future. Worf's a teacher now or something. And Picard gives them a speech. I kind of forgot what it was called. And they all just sit down to a nice poker game, which was a great ending for the crew. They had a poker game. Picard won a couple of hands against Riker. And that's how the episode ends. And I think that's real great, because that's how Next Generations ended in Season 7 on the final episode. And I think that's a great way to end this season. And then we get the end credit scene, which is the fucking best, man. So Jack goes to his room, he starts setting things up, unpacks his bag, and then who appears out of nowhere? It's fucking Q. And Jack kind of says, didn't you say the trial for humanity was over to my father? Because my father's told me all about you. And Q just says, yes, Picard's trial is over. Now it's your turn, because I see a great future in you, Jack. And that's how the episode ends. And I'm so happy they brought back Q for this, because he got fucking screwed in Season 2. Absolutely fucking screwed. And that pissed me off, man. They brought Q back. It was great to see him. And at least he had a little bit of time in this season. And I hope to see more of him in whatever happens next. And that's the end of the episode. It is a great episode. It's a great goodbye story. And I hope we get more of this in the future. They should give Terry a season. Another season. This season of Picard is the best. It is. Everything was great. Everything fucking felt Star Trek. The music felt Star Trek. The actors felt Star Trek. Were there stupid jokes and swearing? I can deal with that. But most of all, it just feels like they respect the fans again. And that has also been what's missing from Star Trek. Respect to the fans. And this season showed they want to do that again. They want us real Trek fans back. And it just felt great. This is a 10 out of 10. I hope Paramount sees what happened with this season and goes forward with it. Stop listening to Kurtzman. Stop taking the piss out of Star Trek. And just let us enjoy this together. We will pay to watch this. We will do what we need to keep this going. But we want respect. Don't take the piss out of Star Trek. Just give us what we want, and we'll give you what you want, which is our money. That's all we ask for. And that's the end of my review. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed the whole season of Picard like I did. Yes, there were 2 episodes that weren't exactly great, 7 and 8. But I think if we put it all together, it was a great season. And again, I hope we get more of this. And that's the end of the video. If you like this video, give it a like. If you dislike this video, give it a dislike. And if you have any comments, do put them below and I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. And if you like my content, do think about subscribing. Entertainment Soldier. Bye.